Hi, so today I wanted to share with you why restriction doesn't work for dieters, chronic dieters, or emotional eaters. So welcome. If you're new here, my name is Michelle. I'm a certified holistic nutritionist and emotional eating expert. And today I wanted to talk about restriction in a different way to help you see how restriction doesn't help you meet your health goals and to feel good in your body. It actually creates more yo-yo dieting. It creates more emotional eating. And so this is what I found for myself. I tried so many diets. I was chronically dieting up and down, and I could only sustain a diet for so long before I failed at it, even if I did the exact same thing. And so I see this with clients. They're using diets to control their emotional eating, to control their body. And it even goes deeper than that. Even if we feel we're normal around food, in our society, we have this very restrictive mindset. Oh, I ate too much. Oh, we're constantly, I should eat less. And it's always restricting and creating, creating restriction around food, not nourishing ourselves, not feeling abundant around food. And so I see this with clients. I experience this myself, and it doesn't work to help us reach those goals or to move past our emotional eating or to ditch dieting. And so I want to share with you how these areas, there are different areas of restriction that compound and make us not reach our goals. So the first area is really, looking at how we're nourishing our bodies. Diets tell us to restrict foods, types of foods, restrict calories. And so when we are eating in this way that a diet recommends, we're saying, oh, this diet knows what I should be eating. And so we give our power away externally to the diet, telling us how much we should eat and the types of foods we should eat. And we don't look at, are these foods deeply nourishing our body? Are they digesting in our body? Do we feel energized by it? We're like, no, the diet knows better than us. And so we almost just start restricting ourselves. And if the diet is restricting calories and certain macros, what happens in our body is that we go into fight or flight mode. We go into stress mode. We go into survival mode because we're not nourishing our bodies enough. We're not getting enough nutrients or calories or whatever it is our body needs. And so our brain starts looking for calories because it's being starved of calories. It's being starved of energy. And so it starts looking for food. And so we want to eat, and then that's where we can start binging or overeating. We just gorge on foods. We're so ravenously hungry. And so that isn't exactly emotionally eating, but at that point, we're eating whatever we want. And so the diet is really restricting us, and then we have to kind of balance it out, and we will binge. And so we're really looking at diets to control ourselves because we probably think we want to control our hunger. We want to control how much we're eating. We don't have enough willpower, so we need a diet. And so what I teach to clients is to come back to a more abundant way of looking at food, to nourish their body, to give it the right nutrients, to make sure things are digesting, that they feel satisfied after meals. The second area that there's a lot of restriction, and this does come in from the diet mentality, we are told we have to eat at a certain time within 2 hours. We're really following what the diet says. We're not tuning into our body. This becomes a really restrictive mindset around controlling ourselves around food. So we're constantly controlling ourselves around food, when we can eat, how much we can eat. We need to not eat after a certain time, and we're not tuning into our bodies. We are listening to these external sort of rules about our body, and we've lost complete contact with our body. We're saying to ourselves that when we're hungry, the types of foods we need, we can't do that. We need to eat at 12, not 1. We don't listen to our own body's cues. And this creates this mindset of resistance and restriction. And so our body is fighting this mental sort of mindset we have around what we should be doing. It's very punishing. We should be doing it then. We should be eating now. We should have this. And it's all of this pressure and criticism we're criticizing how we're eating. And we're not even understanding what our body needs. This is where body acceptance is important. When we look at a diet to tell us when and how we should eat, we have no body acceptance. We're not aware of our body's needs when it's truly hungry, what it actually needs, when it needs to eat. And so we say that something's wrong with us, and this creates internal resistance. This creates restriction internally. And so, of course, we keep punishing and restricting ourselves, and we're not aware of what our body truly needs, and we're not accepting of it. And the way to come back into balance is to really start tuning into our body. What does our body need? How does it feel when we eat, when it tells us to eat? How does it feel when we accept our body where it's at, and we try to be really neutral about it? How does our body feel when we give it enough rest, or we give it enough of what it really truly needs to feel good? So when we're not criticizing our body, when we're not saying we have to eat at this time, when we're not so rigid, how does our body feel? And of course, we're looking at nourishing options. We want to really nourish our body. And the third area of resistance that I see is with emotional resistance. So as an emotional eater or chronic dieter, you use food to control your emotions. Whenever you're feeling uncomfortable, you go towards food, whether you're aware of it or not, because this patterns usually develop from when we're really young. And so it is a way to control. We might not be aware of it. So we're controlling our emotions, and then we use a diet to control the control. So we have two layers of resistance here. So when we're controlling our emotions, we're not looking at the emotion and what it's telling us to do. We're using food to cope. So we don't have to look at the emotion, but we really need to get under the emotional eating, into the emotion, to see what we really need. And the thing is that we probably didn't feel safe feeling our emotions, and eating food meant that we could feel kind of distracted and feel safer around our emotions. And so to come back into balance, we need to learn how to feel safe in our bodies with processing emotions, because all of those emotions that are not processed, that are unresolved, they live in the body. So feeling safe in the body to process through them. And so I do this with clients with somatic meditations, but this brings us back into balance, not control. We're allowing our emotions, and we have a sense of ease around it. And if we look at each of the three areas now I've talked about around food, when we're so restrictive of how much food and types of foods, we want to go into an allowing space that's more abundant. When we're so restrictive about when we can eat, controlling about our food, and controlling about our body and how it should look, we want to go into a space of acceptance. And we're so controlling about our emotions, we wanted to go into a space of allowing. And so these three areas are so key and important for emotional eaters and chronic dieters to get a handle on, because it's not about controlling how much you eat, because if you notice all of those restrictions create stress in the body, and stress actually keeps you away from your health goals. It keeps you away from, let's say your goal is to release weight. It keeps you away from that, because it actually holds on to weight and holds on to water weight, and you won't reach that goal because you're not allowing your body to be, and you're not looking internally. So everything I've mentioned, all of this restriction is very external. We're saying we have to be a certain way, whereas our body is trying to tell us we need certain things by kind of going out of control, if you will. And so it doesn't have, if we can really start tuning into our body, we won't need to go out of control. We'll meet the needs of having an abundance of food, of having acceptance, of having an allowance of emotion. And so if what I'm saying is resonating with you, and you were looking for a different way to move past your emotional eating and to ditch dieting, then I'd love to invite you to book in an emotional eating assessment call, because my program goes through all of these areas and can support you. And so the Emotional Eating Evolution program is a program that my methodology that I designed, that I developed through my own trial and error journey with emotional eating. So if this is resonating with you, I'd love to chat with you, and we can see where you're at and what your goals are, and if the program can bridge that gap. So if you're ready to commit to yourselves, I invite you to book in that call. And of course, if you have any questions, please leave them below, and please be sure to like and subscribe. And I look forward to sharing more with you, and I hope you have a great day.